Podcast. Haunting Halloween and horror. Interviews with haunting gurus. I'm joined by Bone Daddy, the ruler of Woods of Terror Haunted Attraction in Greensboro, North Carolina. It's Eddie Mclauren. Eddie, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, man, this is a pleasure, as we say up here in Boston. It's a wicked pleasure.
All right.
Hey, so Woods of Terror is, I guess it would be considered one of the top haunted attractions in the country, if not the world. Is that safe to say?
I think it is. You know, we're pushing our 35 years here, and I learned a lot in 35 years of how to scare people and run a show, and I think we're doing really good. Our attendance is growing each year and impressing people. I've got great maintenance men, great carpenters, great set designers, so we're rolling. We got the best team we ever had.
I'm impressed. I've been watching a lot of video of the Watt, and it's impressive to say the least. Now, the Woods of Terror compound is on the Mclauren farm, which is your family farm?
Yes, that's correct. When my grandfather died, I found the deed where my great-grandfather bought the property in 1940.
Wow. So, and it's been in the family ever since?
Well, it was in the family, and as I became a teenager, probably 18, 19, it started to get wheeled away and sold off, and it was just absolutely out of my control. And even my mom sold her piece and her property, and, you know, it was just devastating. I was able to work it out with my cousins where I could lease the property, and over the last probably 15 years here, I've bought it all back. I've got one more tract to buy, about 10 acres, but I do have an 18-year lease on it, so I think we're doing good on that. But I've been able over the last 15 years to buy it all back.
So how many acres do you have now?
We're right at 54.
Wow.
So pretty big place to take care of when, you know, the leaves fall in the fall, of course, and taking care of trees and the grass cutting. It's a lot to take care of. There's always something to do.
Now, how much does the actual Woods of Terror compound, how many acres does that take up?
Woods of Terror is probably sitting on 35 to 38 of it. It takes up a massive amount. And then, of course, this next weekend we'll have music on the farm. We're using some of the same parking lots and the same infrastructure to run our farm events. But Woods of Terror is sitting on about 38 probably.
Man. So what is the origin story of Woods of Terror? How did it get started? Like, where did this craziness begin?
Well, back right out of high school, I had a buddy that said, "Hey, man, I'm working at a haunted house. Come check it out." And me and a couple of friends went over there. I saw him a couple of weeks later, and he said, "Man, it was a great experience, but I only made $40, and I worked 4 weeks." And this is in 1990. So I said, "Well, what did the owner make?" And he said, "Well, he made $18,000." And that seemed really nice to me because in 1990, minimum wage was $5.25, and after a full year of work paying taxes, I'd make about $15,500. So I thought, well, you come work for me next year, and I'll give you $100. So the next year we did it. I think I had 184 people at $2, and over this last Halloween, we did over 45,000 at about $50.
So what was it like that first year or two? How many did you have? Just one haunt? Did you have a couple of them? What did you have?
It was just a haunted trail, and not coming from a haunt, made some mistakes, didn't really know what I was doing. But in 2000, I heard of Transworld, attended my first Transworld in 2001, and met people like Ben Armstrong from Netherworld, Randy Bates from Bates Haunted House, and basically said, "Hey, Ben, what do you do for a living?" And he says, "Well, I do Halloween." And I said, "Well, no, I love Halloween, but I'm a heating and air man. I work on air conditions all summer and heat all winter trying to pay the bills." And I said, "What do you do?" And he goes, "No, I do Halloween." And I said, "Well, that's what I want to do." So I pursued that, and over the next 10 years, really started to make some adjustments to Woods of Terror, really invested in it, and the attendance just exploded. Couldn't keep up with how fast Woods of Terror is going. But it's been a great ride, man. No matter what happens, I've had a great ride, a great run of it. Got to see a lot of the United States of America traveling around to these haunt tours and seeing the United States. So I've had a good run of it, and man, I hope to continue on with it. I've had a good life running Woods of Terror.
So now you just do Halloween, just like Ben?
Yeah. So in 2008, 2007, I was doing some maintenance work and heating and air, of course. 2008 happened. So the year before, I'd done about 11 to 1,200 work orders working for myself. And in 2008, it dropped to 200 work orders. So when I had all that spare time, I rode out to the Woods of Terror, worked on it. And in 2009, I said, screw working for that maintenance stuff. I'm working for Woods of Terror. So I guess after 2009, so I don't know how many years that's been, about 16, 17 years here, full time.
Well, it's great that things are working out. It's great. I would love to just be able to do Halloween.
Yeah.
It's all right, though. I just do it as a hobby. I love going to haunted attractions. I love having a home haunt. I love building stuff and making props. I kind of keep it as my hobby. Maybe when I retire, I'll go work for a haunt. That's what I keep telling myself. I go, maybe I'll go work at a haunt once I kind of wrap up my real life and I can just play. I can go and play instead of doing this nonsense that I do.
Well, you should come see me August 23rd. I'm open for one night for people like you that can't get away a lot. So having a friends event, a TikTok influencer, whatever influencer. I'm going to have open for one night. Alan Hobbs will be here training. He's also going to teach. We're going to feed the people and have a daytime tour, and then we're going to open that night. So if you can make it, you're invited.
Sounds fantastic. I'll see what I can do. See if I can make it work.
Right.
Now, let's talk about like the nitty gritty of Woods of Terror. Now, when you enter the compound, you get dropped pretty much right into the midway. Is that where everything kind of starts off?
Yep. So probably I have to think back now. So in 2003 and 4 and 5, my attendance started to explode. And all I could think about was these 2,000 people standing in a straight line and me not making any money. And I was like, what? This is not going to work. So I actually seeked out one or two people to ask them about what then was, it didn't exist. I mean, midways and, in 1999, who in the United States had a midway? Whoever it was, I don't know. So I started looking at it, and some other things have changed on the property I was using. My cousin that I rented it from decided to build a house. So that was in my main parking lot. So we had to make some adjustments. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to create what I called a midway. And now you can't hardly go to a haunted house, North Carolina, more or less in the United States, that doesn't have a midway or some kind of entrance. Yeah. But we started doing the midway there. And over the years, it changed and it grew. And I think now that it's probably the best I've ever had it. We started off with dancers that would do the Michael Jackson's Thriller dance. And then later we added the national anthem to a parade that I do at the beginning. And it has morphed into, now we have a house band that sings the national anthem and plays all night in the midway. And we also have the Dead City Collective, which is here. And this year they'll have their own stage and they'll be performing all night. So the midway's a great place to come in. You can get gifts. You can use the bathroom, visit our bars. We've been doing alcohol now for about 4 years, and it's a whole new experience with the live band, and it's a great atmosphere and a party atmosphere even before you go into the woods. So it's just icing on the cake to get dropped off in the Woods of Terror midway. And so way back we used to do names, and then we did poker cards, and now we're queuing people on phones just like you would be queued at a restaurant. So when you enter the park, you get in the queue. So the queue probably holds 400 people, but you don't have to get in the queue line until you're queued, of course. And it just makes a better all over experience. I mean, you could be in the midway for an hour, but you're having so much fun. It feels like, well, I only waited 20, 25 minutes, but by the time you waited outside, now, we wand everybody before they come in. Makes a great experience.
Yeah, standing in line's no fun. Hanging out, watching bands and people running around doing crazy shit and being able to grab drinks, a whole different experience, right? It's a completely different ball of wax there. It's like, and it makes sense. You'll think about, I think people get pigeoned, like they just think of like a haunted attraction. This is the way it's done. And then you just think about, well, what do other people do? Like, what did circuses do? Circuses always had a midway. Why did they have a midway? Yep. Probably the same reason that you now have a midway. It's because they wanted to have constant people milling around, spending money, buying drinks, getting popcorn, candy, whatever the hell, and just doing stuff and being able to enjoy themselves without having to just stand in a line, like Walt Disney style, just standing in line for an hour to get in. It's like, that's what kind of system do you use that, for the queue line that works on the phone? Is there a specific company that does that?
It's called Wait Wow. Wait Wow.
Wait Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool. That's the first time I've heard of that. So that's awesome.
We started using that during COVID, and we would let them sit in their cars and said, we'll queue you to come inside. But I knew immediately when we started that, I said, next year we'll queue everybody like this.
Yeah, like change the game for you. That was it.
Yeah, because we were having to print names, and I was having to print copies. And then when I went to the poker cards, we would call, I used 100 decks. And people would be like, okay, the ace of spades line up. And then I noticed that I was having cards in when you go up to the person, you had to turn in your card. And I would reuse the cards. But then I noticed I was getting cards that didn't belong to my deck. So they would bring a whole deck of cards in, pull out the card they needed, and enter the show. So Wait Wow has really fixed all that. I don't have to print anything. It's all digital, and it's really hard to cheat the system.
Yeah.
But the way they have to cheat it now is buying a fast pass, so that makes money for me.
There you go. It's another thing that all of these big amusement parks do. It just, it's another great, makes sense. VIP, speed past the line. The Crypt Kickers that's the house band?
Yes, it is.
Now, I notice you sing with them, but you're not their lead singer. You just kind of get up and you will do the national anthem to kind of kick off the night. Is that kind of what happens?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about that. So way it all started off was I was allowing high school groups to come in and sing the national anthem. And if they came in and sang the national anthem, I'd let them go through for free. And along with all the kids came moms and dads and siblings. So like my old high school they had 90 people in their course. So I would have to divide that up over 3 nights. And I've even had American Idol people come out. But what happened was they would show up late, and you would be surprised how many high schools would come out and couldn't hardly even sing it.
Yeah.
And I forgot the guy's name, but he was here from American Idol, and he stopped, forgot the words. And after that season, I had 2 kids working for me that played the guitar, and they played the drums. I said, don't y'all play? I said, next year we're going to do it. So those guys were around for about 8 years, and then some things changed, and Crypt Kicker came in. But Crypt Kicker will go out and perform locally around town without me. But this year we just released an album. So the album contains 6 songs with me lead singing, and then 6 songs with Tommy Lee. He's the Crypt Kicker lead singer. So we pretty much divided the album in half, just about the way we divide the show. Half is without me and half is with me.
Now, I know that you have a very interesting accessory that you typically have around your neck. Now, is that your pet boa?
Yeah, she's mine. I tell everybody instead of a dog house, I got a snake house. But for the winters here, we're well insulated and has a heater, humidifier in there. It's quite a bit of work to keep her healthy, keep her skin moist. But she is my pet, and I actually have 2. I have a Spawn's pushing right at 12 years old now, and then I have a 6-year-old because when the first one died, I didn't understand why, and I still don't know why. So I got to back up in case that happens again. And so Spawn is probably about 12 feet, 60 pounds, and my other one is probably about 8 feet and weighs about 25 pounds. So
I actually grew up next to this family, the family that when I grew up back in, my old hood, that my next door neighbor and I was really close with that family, they were the ones who got me into this whole Halloween thing, got me freaking hooked. She had a boa. I think it was a six, possibly 8 feet. It was beautiful. And so I spent a lot of time around a boa when I was a kid. So it was just when I saw it, I was like, immediately knew it was. I'm like, it's a boa, absolutely. So what else happens in the midway? You say you grab drinks, you got the band going, and what else happens for entertainment there?
Well, we used to have a elevator. We're still in there right now. We're going to pull that out. So I sell all access tickets, fast pass, and general admission. The all access will get you a lanyard, a customized lanyard, and a plaque, and you get to go on the elevator, and you get all these little special things in the midway, and you get to see some things first. But this year we're pulling out the elevator, and we're putting in a 360 camera. Have you seen any of those where they go around you?
I was going to ask you because I did see that in one of the videos. Like, what is that? I don't know. I've never seen that before.
So I guess basically it's putting an iPad on a stand, and I have the 360 camera will spin that thing around you. So you can dance, do all this crazy stuff, and it records you. And, of course, it'll drop right on your cell phone or your Android, and then you can share it on social media.
Oh, okay.
So that will take the place of the elevator this year. So everybody that buys an all access pass will get the 360 experience for free. And then, of course, general admission could buy it if they want to. I think we're going to charge $20 to do that experience. Mm-hmm. After you do that, we have 2 concession stands where you can buy food. And so I have an inside midway, and then I have a post midway. So the inside midway has 2 places you can get cheeseburgers, hot dogs, beer. Last year, we actually released our own beer. We had 3 different designs, 3 different flavors. This year, we'll be adding one. And that was very successful. I sell the domestics for, I think, $7, and we sold ours for $6. So we were successful selling a lot of our beer. It was cheaper. And it was a local brewery. And I went to them, and he said, "Do you want me to create something special?" I said, "No, I just want, what's your number one seller?" So the number one selling beer was Bone Daddy. And then we had the Bone Daddy beer, and we had an IPA, and then we had a light beer. And so once you can go get something to eat, get some beer. We have axe throwing in there. We have a donut shack where you can get fresh made donuts. This year we'll be adding the Nut House, which is going to be the Nutty Pavilion, which you can get the pecans with the cinnamon on it. We're going to have a lemonade stand this year, which you can get hard lemonade. We just got all kinds of things in there. So it's probably an acre big, and it gives you quite a bit of room. My DJ is in the center of the midway, and she's elevated. Mm-hmm. And then behind the DJ this year, we're putting in the stage for Dead City Collective, where they can be performing all night and see sideshows, circus acts, aerial acts. So just a whole new experience for a lot of this stuff. And a lot of people that never been to Woods of Terror coming here are like, what is this? I've never seen this at a haunted house. And so they get a great experience. I had one guy ask me, he said, "This is really good. I just thought it would be longer." And I said, "Well, I don't think you've been in a haunted house yet. You've just been in the midway." But and I thought that,
you're like, the show hasn't even started yet. This is like the beginning. We haven't even got going yet.
I'd be a little upset if I paid $50 and that's all it was. But it's been a great thing, and it continues to grow. Every year I learn something a little bit new on how to make the midway better and how to entertain the people better. And I have one of my security guards. If we see these people with their hands on their chins and they're sitting on a picnic table and they look really upset, if they're not enjoying a funnel cake and a hot dog and enjoying the experience, we'll go over there and say, I'll do it too. But we say, "Hey, where are you from? Waiting's the worst part." Sometimes I carry about 100 cards with me a night, and I'll just hand them to them and say, "Hey, go get in the fast line. We hate you had to wait." And it works. It's a really good system. These people really enjoy getting that free boost. They'll come out and thank me later. And some people want to come and leave, but it's been hard to train the people to say, "Hey, just plan to be here the whole night." Come out, see the beginning of the show, watch the parade of monsters, enjoy the midway, enjoy the show. Come here and stay for 2 or 3 hours. Don't try to get in and out. A lot of people are trying to leave and make other haunted houses, but it's very difficult. If you get here in the beginning, you see my parade, you get in early, you can get out and go see another haunt. But if you're coming, after 9 o'clock, my show's over an hour once you go in the show. So it's a long experience. But the past has been, hey, you do a haunted house, you might do 2 or 3 in a night. And with the size of my show and with the midway, you would just be cheating yourself to come here and try to leave early. Just come and enjoy the night.
Is there an overall backstory of Woods of Terror, or is it just like each house has its own story and theme?
Well, in the beginning, I made up a story to make it sound better, but it's been so crazy over the years because a lot of people think that it's true. But this part is true. My great grandfather was a pastor, and so I made up the story that he had exorcised the spirits and had nowhere to put them, and he bound them to this piece of property. And me not knowing that, because he died 3 months before I was born, I never did get to meet him. But once I found that out, I knew what I had, and I invented the Woods of Terror. So it's so crazy over the years how many people come out, and even when I tell them it's a fake story, they're like, "No, I witnessed something in the woods," and I go, "Okay." But it's been I haven't been asked about that for a long time. So, but that's the way we started it, and so it's just been a good ride, and we've been successful with it.
Why don't you kind of take us through an audio tour of Woods of Terror after we get past the midway?
All right, so once you're queued, you would enter the corral and do the timing. The way I do my timing is I have 2 photo ops in the beginning. Hopefully, we can offer photo ops and we sell the pictures. Nowadays, if you're 20 years old, you might not have actually ever held a picture. When me and you were kids, 1 hour photo was on every corner. Yeah. But so we offer the picture, and then we'll go through a tunnel which enters you into the Woods of Terror, and we'll come to the Fungus Among Us. And I made that name up. My wife was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But really fun. But it's like
you're a really fun guy.
Yeah, I try to have fun with it. So we do the Fungus Among Us. That's been several things over the past few years. Started off as just a pitch black maze. Now the Fungus Among Us is a mix between Avatar meets Last of Us. So obviously the fungus is in there. We added black lights, and then we added lights. So it's a really unique experience. Last year, we spent a ton of time on the mortuary and necropolis and the Baba Yaga house. And we spent 3 weeks on Fungus Among Us, and it ended up being the customer's favorite. It's like so shocking. You spend all this time and money on other places. So this year, we had about another 100 feet or 100 yards or another 1,000 square feet. So we redecorated the end of Fungus Among Us. So over the last 2 years, that's a totally brand new attraction. Once you leave Fungus Among Us, you'll enter Jack's Revenge. So jack-o'-lanterns everywhere, and it is Jack's Revenge, where he is coming back to take over the children that have been kicking him and throwing him and cutting him up. So that used to be my Creepersville, which was obviously after Jeepers Creepers, but now it's Jack's Revenge, and you go through that, and I have a couple of buses you go through, great scares, great skits. And then you will enter, let me see, I have to think here. It used to be Heavy Metal Nightmare, now it's called Hardwired. And this is like a scary thing meets Terminator. So we have all these robots in there, and it is a unique experience. It is made with a lot of metal and all kinds of junk that I had salvaged from a junkyard. After that, you will enter the Fun House. The Fun House is about 3,000 square feet, runs about 12 clowns. And of course, all these buildings have their own costume and their own audio and their own costumes and stuff. So after the Fun House, you will enter 11's Nightmare. So 11 Nightmares, obviously, after the Stranger Things. Mm-hmm. And we doubled the size of the facade last year. We tore that out. That was a vampire house for 16 years. So we revamped that, new facade. And this year we added in about 2,000 square feet on the back. we are hoping that we have got the new villain down and we know what it is, and so that new villain is already in there. I hope we're right. So
Yeah.
after that, you'll enter the mortuary. The mortuary is probably over 4,000 square feet, and halfway through, you will enter necropolis. So the mortuary, you will be entering a church where somebody has died, and once you go through the cathedral church, you will go into the morgue where they're getting the bodies ready. After that, you will go into the furnace room where they incinerate the bodies, and then you will go through the crypts where the bodies have been stored, and then you will enter the mortuary, which is basically a huge graveyard. I have put it all inside. We get hit with quite a few hurricanes during October, so I've had to revamp my stuff and prepare for that. But man, the mortuary is amazing. It's just to see the size and the amount of sets that are in that building.
Oh yeah, I saw some video of it, and it's outstanding. That was one of my things I was going to mention to you. Who's on your production team? Give some shout outs to these guys or gals. Who's building these sets for you? Who's on the team?
All right, so Nate Fultz. Nate Fultz is my carpenter, and he's making almost all the sets. And I have Ryan Bisengard, and he's my set designer. And so when we started that, we actually got a huge facade piece from Bradley Bays. He's out of Minnesota. So what I did was they brought this huge set piece of a mortuary of a crypt, and they used it as their booth at Transworld. And then after Transworld, I loaded it up and brought it home. So, but we all got together and decided what we were going to do. One piece, I've got a Scare Factory hearse. They came out about 12 years ago, and they ran about $25,000. And Alan Hobbs was selling one down in Texas 2 years ago, and I drove out there and picked that up. So I already had a fiberglass horse, so that hearse is also in the mortuary. And I had been collecting cement statues from a place about 3 hours from my hometown, a place I vacation. So every time I'd go on vacation, I'd take a trailer with me, and I'd bring some skeletons home, or these big, nice cement statues, gargoyles, ones of Jesus, one of all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. So I already had a lot of those, and it was great building that, and it was a great experience. And this year we've even added a couple more things inside of it, and we'll be adding a huge scene onto the back of it. But after you go through the necropolis, you will enter the Hollywood cinemas. So for years I stayed away from anything that was IP. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do it all original, but all my exit surveying was saying, we want to see Freddie, we want to see Michael, we want to see Jason. So Hollywood Cinemas is an attraction that has a building or a set for all those. And it is my least worked in attraction, and every year, 25% of the time, it wins Best Attraction. The people just love these classic characters. And of course, every other year they release another movie, which keeps the nostalgia going.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get the IP thing either myself. I mean, people like what they like, and you can't make them like what you like or what you want to focus on. It's like you got to I guess you just have to give them what they want. That's kind of what it is, right?
Yeah, when I did the Stranger Things, I was really reluctant, but what I found with the Stranger Things was, it's really weird. A lot of parents won't let their kids watch Insidious or The Conjuring, and up until they're 15 or 16, they probably shouldn't watch it. But they will let their kids watch The Walking Dead, and they will let them watch Stranger Things. And I had an explosion that year when I opened that setup, and I noticed that my kids were getting younger, and it was really all because of Stranger Things. So, and it's weird. Last year I did The Fungus Among Us, which is leaning towards Last of Us, and it wins Best Attraction. And, I had all kinds of plans when I built my Texas house. I had this whole original script and the whole thing about the manor. And I said, man, let's just build the Texas facade. And it has been one of the biggest hits I've ever had. And I wish I could go more original. But, man, when people actually saw a kid walk up to the facade of Texas, And I happened to be walking through, and he threw up all over the ground. He was like, "No, I just watched this movie, and I cannot go in." I'm like, "Dude, it's just a facade." He was like, "No, I can't do it." And I could have built the best facade ever and the best backstory ever. I would never be able to get that kind of impact on a kid. But when
Yeah.
they watch these movies, it's psychologically that gets in their heads, and they just love these IP things.
Yeah. Now for the 11's Nightmare, that one, that's pretty great. Now, are you making those Demogorgons in house?
We have so actually Ron Visengard made 5 or 6 of those. He made them all from scratch, and then he came to me one day, and I think Home Depot made some, and they used to be $400, and they were $100 online. So I ended up buying about 4 of those. So I have a mixture of both, and he made one creature that's in the front room that he made from scratch, and it's a Mind Slayer. He built a Mind Slayer in the first room. So a lot of this stuff he's building from scratch. We are not buying it.
Yeah,
And
pretty amazing. Like how are the creepy vines made?
we've made them so many different ways. But so back with the farm stuff, I water a lot of plants and trees, and these soaker hoses, after about 2 or 3 years, they'll just wear out and they don't work anymore. So we put the soaker hose in the middle of them, and we're using a lot of erosion cloth, and we'll wrap the erosion cloth around these soaker hoses, and then we just get latex. There's 2 types of latex. I'm still learning myself. It's not casting latex, I think it is casting latex. Put it in a big bucket, we dip them, and then we string them up on like a clothesline, and they drip, and then we paint them. So we've done it with rope inside of them, the hoses inside of them. So we've done it several different ways. Probably the cheapest way is just to put the junt over maybe some old garden hose that you got, and then you just dip it. And they're really, where the latex gets in there and dries, and it makes them look really good.
Yeah. There was one effect that I saw that was like a stunt that was really cool, and I had to ask you about it. There's one with this grandfather clock where I think the girl is like attached to the grandfather clock and gets like lifted up or something.
Yeah.
How does that effect work?
Well, when we built the walls, we just ended up building the grandfather clock over the top of the walls. And of course, I just went on Marketplace and got grandfather clocks that were messed up. And she suspended on basically a wire into the ceiling. And when you walk in, that thing it'll do its effect. So it's really a low-tech gadget, but when you're in there with the strobe lights, and then we're doing projection mapping 2 times in that room, with all that going on, it's amazing to see it, because we were down there building. It's just amazing to see that whole thing. That with Nate's carpentry skills and Ryan's decorating skills, that honestly, this could be just as good as something they had at Halloween Horror Nights.
For sure, absolutely. Now, what is you have the Baba Yaga haunt, which is that's like a woods, like a witch's cabin or witch's kind of lair.
Yeah, so the Baba Yaga house, that was 2 years ago. We were going to make a new attraction, and Nathan Fultz came up with this, and he said, "What about a Baba Yaga house?" And I said, "What is that?" So basically a European witch, or some people call it a Russian or a Slavic witch, and she is supposed to get the children out of the woods, so you better make sure your children come home. So we just built this witch house, and we just decided to make this one of our biggest attractions, both in size and height. And the fun part for me is to try to go find this stuff, whether it be at mainly antique shows, picker shows, flea markets, and to find the stuff that I will put inside these buildings, because a lot of the stuff you just can't go to Walmart and buy it. And so that's the fun part for me. And I put a big room full of stuff, and then Ryan picks out what he wants and decorates it.
I remember coming across your booth at Transworld a number of years ago, and I was like, oh my God, what was that booth? I remember I left, and I was thinking, I'm like, I got to look up that booth that had all the taxidermy in it. And I remember, because it was so unique. Because nobody else had taxidermy. You had like a booth full of taxidermy. I'm like, man, who was that? And I remember I took like a picture of the booth, but for some reason it was like a deer head or something was blocking out your Watt sign, and I couldn't read it. And then I remember posting online, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, the Woods of Terror," and I was like looking online to try to find the website to buy. I found your haunt website, but I couldn't find the listing of any of the. I don't think you were selling. You don't sell the taxidermy online. You have to buy it at the cons, right?
Yes. And for that, that was some of the hardest stuff for me to find when I was decorating my vampire house. And as I was seeking it out and finding it and locating it, I actually run into a guy that does it for a living. So that was how I got my connection or my end on that. And he could get this stuff so much cheaper than I was paying for it. No matter what antique mall I could find it out, these pieces were, $900, $1,200, and some of the stuff he could get me for $300 or $400.
Yeah. So, and that sells pretty well for you, I would imagine. Everybody's.
It has done good. The problem with it is, probably 75% of the people are flying into Transworld,
so they can't.
And so they can't take it home with them, and it's very expensive to ship. So that's been a little bit of a. And then this year, I think the economy really hit the haunted houses pretty hard. So it didn't have as much to spend as they normally have to spend. So there has been, you can have the right stuff, and stuff is hard to find, but if people ain't got the money to buy it, they ain't got the money to buy it.
What do you do, like, as far as stuff that you kind of can turn over and you do sell quite a bit of at the different cons? Like, what moves better for you, and what do you offer?
Yeah, right now, these horror horns that you put on your hats are going really nice. I've got a vendor, they're called horror horns, and he's hooking me up, and I'm the representative for him. But these go on your hat, your beanie. You can put them in your hair with hair barrettes. Those have done really well. And we've started casting little items. We will at MHC have some masks. These masks are going to be one-off masks. We're not going to be mass producing them or making orders, because once I get back from MHC, I got so much work for Woods of Terror until we open. But I am basically I take about 14 to 16 people every year, and I'm basically just trying to make money to take all these guys and show I appreciate them and have a good time, and just pay for my trip to Transworld. To make a profit on being a vendor, you have to really work hard, and I spend most of my time on Woods of Terror not trying to be a vendor. But
yeah,
we're going to have some new stuff next year, and I think it'll do better. And it's been a fun time doing that, and taking all my staff and letting them see Transworld gets you fired up, man. When you see that place, you're like, oh man, this Halloween can be bigger than I thought it could be.
Yeah. Now, as far as your staff, like, what's your retention like? Do you have a pretty good retention with your people?
Well, my upper staff and my senior staff, those guys, some of those guys have been 10, 11, 12 years. The actors are about a 50-50 split every year. Doesn't matter, kids getting married, growing up, having babies, moving, going to college. So it is a tough task to retain actors more than 50% every year, which is why I have Alan Hobbs come in every year for training. That's been a great thing for me, and the kids really love Alan, and they get a lot out of it.
Yeah, he's kind of like an industry legend. Yep. He's it's like anybody and everybody knows who Alan is. So yep. You did Transworld, you did East Coast Haunters Convention, you're doing MHC. Is that pretty much it for the cons for this year?
Yep, that'll be it. Thank goodness. Some people say they love to travel, but when you start traveling all that many times, it's like you're tired of traveling.
Do you do seminars at any of these?
I've done a couple here and there, but I haven't done any in probably the last 2 or 3 years. So I guess if they ask, depending on what the subject matter is, I may do it again. Can
you bestow on us any tips or tricks or words of wisdom of the trade that you've picked up over the years?
If you're going to enter haunting, you better be tough-skinned and make sure you're not a quitter, because it'll make you want to quit. And it is not easy. You have to be devoted.
Yeah, you have to keep at it. Just keep grinding.
Yep.
Did you have a fairly decent crew or a couple of good people that when you started up?
No.
No.
I would say up until 2012 or 2013, 14, I drove every nail and did every screw myself. So thank goodness that's changed. But, I really couldn't afford to pay like I'm paying now. And, when I grew up, all my friends, they all had 40-hour week jobs. So we would come out here on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays. And, we worked hard at it. But for years, I couldn't afford to hire a carpenter or a set designer.
You do a lot of other events outside of, obviously Halloween. You do a lot of events throughout the year. What are some of the other events that you do?
So we were doing Merry Christmas for, I think, right at 13 years now. And that has definitely been a different, we're totally opposite. So family fun, friendly. So this year we started Krampus, and that was a huge success. And we're going to continue to do Krampus. That Krampus last year was one weekend. This year it'll be 2 weekends. And so outside the Woods of Terror, we do an Easter egg hunt for the kids. And we have music on the farm. We got a music on the farm next week. Just trying to use the infrastructure and my property to make money all year is what I'm trying to do.
And you did a halfway to Halloween event.
Yep, that was our third year, and it was our most successful year. So we'll continue doing that. So great to get the kids all back, and we usually totally renovate 2 attractions by the time halfway gets here, and the people can see some new stuff, and then we'll renovate 2 or 3 more before Halloween starts up.
How much of the different haunts gets changed out each year? Do you do change out 20% each year, or is it more or less than that?
I really try to change. I would give their percentage about 33%. So every 3 years you're seeing a different show, totally different. So you can give or take. Some years I don't get that far, and some years I get a little further, depending on the size and what we tackled that year.
Do you also have a pumpkin patch and that type of thing, more family friend, kid friendly, little one friendly for around the Halloween? So
we've been doing that for 9 years. We have a pumpkin patch, and we open that on Saturdays and Sundays, and they can come out. We got train rides, face painting. We have a playground, a big slide. We got all kinds of stuff, gravity ball, tire mountain. So they can come here and spend a day, and we'll have our grill open. Come out and spend a day with their kids. And we sell quite a bit of pumpkins. So we're still growing that. And so we hope that'll go bigger this year. There's not a lot of pumpkin patches around me. So that's one thing. So
cool. Is there anything else that we have not covered about Woods of Terror?
I don't guess so. Just like I was letting you know, if there's anybody out there, influencers, special guests that want to come down or come up, August 23rd, we're having a special event. They'll need to email me an RSVP, but we are open in 1 week before Halloween Horror Nights for 1 day only for people that normally couldn't come see the show or have a busy schedule, and they come out and check us out. And that's a daytime event. Get to see the Woods of Terror during the day and at night. Great opportunity if you never got to see it.
Outside of that, for info, events, tickets, where do people go? Where all the mere mortals head?
Yep, they can go to woodsofterror.com or info@woodsofterror.com or eddie@woodsofterror.com. It all comes to me, and you can. Most everything is on our website. If you have any questions, just email me.
All right, Eddie. It was a pleasure meeting you at the East Coast Honors Convention. I guess I'm going to see you again at the Midwest Honors Convention.
You will.
Which by the time this drops, we would have already it would already have been over, but that's all right. Beyond that, it was a pleasure. Thanks for taking a couple of minutes with us. Woods of Terror I can't wait to get down there. From doing my homework before talking to you, absolutely blown away by what I've seen, and can't wait to get down and check it out in person.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Please like, subscribe, comment, give us a 5-star review, share with friends, and buy us a beer if you see us out in the wild. Follow us on Instagram at huntcast.podcast for show updates, as well as more pictures and video content. Join the Huntcast community in the Huntcast Discord server. Also, like and follow our Huntcast Facebook page. Listen to the entire back catalog of our audio podcasts, available on all podcast platforms. With over 550 segments, now available. Until next time, stay scary.
I'm going now. And heaven help you.